So welcome. So this is our deliciousness of deep self-healing masterclass. I had a presentation I was going to show you, not super detailed, it's pretty simple, but with, I just was in a power almost an hour. Usually things are back up and running pretty quickly here in Playa. It's normal to get power outages, but never for an extended period of time. If anyone is not aware, I moved to Mexico, Playa del Carmen, and it's beautiful and I love it. And it's a big part of my healing. And so I'm excited to share with you guys today, but I'm thinking I'll do two parts. We'll do this, because the presentation I had is the topic. There's kind of two aspects of it and they're so integrated and intertwined, but I think it is actually, there's so much I want to fit into the conversation because it is so complex and I don't want to approach this from one angle only. I want to bring in all of it together, and I think it might be more digestible for you if we do it in two parts. So let's do this part one tonight. And then if you want to write it on your calendar right now, we'll do a part two on Thursday. Same time on Thursday. Okay. All right. I see a little bit in the chat, so you can hear me and see me. Awesome. I'm a little, my nervous system is a little activated, a little anxious with being late. So thanks for being so patient and understanding. All right. Like I said, I'm not going to use a presentation. I'm just going to go with my own guidance and insights and stories. So how do people associate mental health and flavor? Like right now, what's the connection between mental health and flavor? Like I asked in the subject line of the email I wrote this morning, and in the PS as well. What do you think that connection is between flavor and mental health? Let's just start there. By the way, May is the National Mental Health Month, Mental Health Awareness Month. And I did not realize that when I first scheduled this masterclass. This was just about the deep self-healing, because I've been on this journey and just so yearning to share with you. And then when I realized that, I was like, oh, amazing, perfect, it works out amazing. Okay, so no clue, don't know. I had a couple people write in and they were definitely on point, like on the target, or close to the target, but it's really simple. The answer I was looking for, it was so much simpler than people wrote in. So the people that wrote in to give me, a response earlier got more specific than what I was looking for. So mental health, what is mental health based on? I mean, it's the brain and mind. It is in large part the nervous system, right? The mind is not the brain, but both are working with the nervous system, right? The nervous system. And how do we sense the flavor of our food? We sense the flavor of our food through the little taste buds all over our tongue. Where do those taste buds go? Where do they link to? They link to, right? So the flavor that we experience has a direct connection to the flavor in our brain. And so it's a big conversation, and that conversation is more technical. I have a lot of science. I won't be able to share it all with you, but I want to share a few pieces with you. So that's the conversation we're going to have on on Thursday. We'll go deeper into the science because, and I won't not be able to touch on it throughout this conversation today, but know that we're going to go deeper on Thursday. So has anyone heard of umami? Umami? It's our 5th taste. And you might have actually, if anyone's taken the Magic of Umami course, let me know in the comments if you've taken that course already. The umami links flavor to total health, physical health, mental health, also emotional health, because it ties in inflammation and our emotions, which are intertwined with our mental state, our nervous system, our neurotransmitters. And so you could even say our spiritual health. Umami that's partly why I'm so passionate about this connection, is because it links flavor not just to mental health, which a lot of people are aware of. There's serotonin and dopamine, and we have cravings and addiction and the mind-gut connection. There's so many pieces to it. But what is fascinating to me is the umami being a very, very abundant amino acid in our food supply, and also the most potent neurotransmitter in the brain, which is what I go deep into in the Magic of Umami course. But what's less recognized, still widely known within the scientific community or within the people studying this topic for decades, it's been known that it's a neurotransmitter that is affecting the entire nervous system, all of our body parts, the peripheral nervous system, all of the skin. I'll just tell you right now, heads up, and we won't go much deeper, but all of our sensory neurons, which means sensory neurons, the primary sensory neurons are the neurons that are communicating with the environment, the ones that are sensing, the touch receptors, the neurons that allow us to smell things, to hear things. These are the sensory neurons, and they are all displaying glutamate receptors, creating glutamate and releasing glutamate. And if you haven't taken the Magic of Umami course, this might be like over your head. You don't know what matters so much, but I'm telling you, it is deeply, deeply powerful. And so we're going to talk more about that on Thursday. Thanks, Maggie. So glad you liked it. And I'm also going to be opening up, I'll let you know right now, I'm going to be opening up a new round of the Magic of Umami course. We're going to go through it as a group, start that in June, but I'm doing a lot of preparation to expand and add to the course, because every time I look into the topic, there's just more science, more insights and connections that I'm making. And so I'm going to make it even more powerful. This is university level training, like that. The science is that deep, and I'm sharing that deep of science because, one, I know our community loves science and they love to be empowered, right? We love knowing what we can do to help ourselves. And if we can know the science behind it, not for everyone, but for a lot of us, if we can science behind it, it makes more sense. And then we can also do more research on our own for our own individual needs. Yes, umami is the flavor of mushrooms. Umami is savoriness. So anything that is savory has umami in it. And what people don't realize is that a lot of foods that aren't largely savory in our association, like as much as mushrooms or tomatoes, other ones like sweet potatoes actually have this. So does wheat. Wheat is a big one, and people don't realize. But again, we'll go into it more on Thursday, and then I'll actually gonna offer you to join us for the Magic of Umami course, and there'll be a discount and everything. So definitely join us Thursday if you want to be a part of that. That being said, let me dive into the deliciousness outside of umami that I really really excited about. So to share about and what's made such a big difference in my healing this last year. So where do I start? How many people know my story, my addiction story? Recovery addict. I heard the story in the email this morning, but then it got way too long. So at 18 years old, I was full-blown addicted to one food. Someone let me know in the comments if you know it. But my mood was up and down, nonstop with this food. And it was like suicidal at some points, that low. I never planned out a suicide, but it was definitely that level of depression. And then I'd be super, super high other times. And so it was this cycle. And I thought I was alone in this. I really did. I didn't realize there was Overeaters Anonymous or dealing with food addiction. It's definitely ice cream. And so in college, though, I added in French fries, ice cream and French fries. But the ice cream, it would just set me on a roller of emotions, right? And the combination of that and the rest of my diet in college set me up for terrible, terrible health. I also had a surgery that was pretty traumatic. And I had this terrible health that I didn't even realize. You know, my emotions weren't so good. And I figured out ways to handle that by eliminating all French fries for like 3 years. I said no French fries whatsoever because I knew I couldn't handle myself. And if I could at least keep it to one food, I'd be better off than having two foods that were out. I just had ice cream for 3 years. And then I came to a plant-based diet and it was amazing. And my health got so much better. I didn't even realize that I was so low energy and other things. My acne had improved since high school, but it was still terrible acne, and it all got better with the plant-based diet. So things like that happened. It was fantastic. But then after 3 years and there were some other things, other pieces of that journey, some meaningful pieces of my health and disease journey related to umami during that college phase. So I'll talk about that. But the plant-based diet was amazing. And for 3 years, I was really strict, sos-free, like 100%, super, super strict. And then I moved away from my community. I was living at True North, which was amazing, and connecting with everyone there. But when I moved away, I started adding in some junk again. I started adding in a little bit of alcohol and a little bit of wheat. And then it kind of spiraled in a little bit of sugar. And I got hooked on matcha. And then I wasn't doing ice cream anymore, but that matcha was like the one thing. Mochas and matcha was the one thing I was allowing myself. It's still sugar, cream, and fat, right? Sugar, fat, and salt all in one. So that's the deathly combo that just gets you trapped. And through that journey, I totally crashed. At one point, I had to put my business on hold for about a couple months, I think. And I did a fast at True North Health Center. I did a 14-day water fast. At that point, I realized how I was eating decently, right? I was cheating a lot, but I was still doing a plant-based diet. I was eating basically a forks over knives plant-based diet with a little bit of alcohol here and there. And by this point, by the time, I was at True North Health Center, the alcohol was back down to like, a couple times a year. And even at its highest, it was a couple times a month. So it really wasn't that much at all relative to what people could be drinking. And so I think of my diet as it was really, really impactful for me. I was depressed and in a terrible state with my energy and my mood. And he wasn't still eating a overall very, very healthy whole food plant-based diet. I just had some flour in there, some nutritional yeast. Definitely the matchas was a big thing. But I
What kind of the camera on? I didn't know. That's the
That's joining us late and they're come in unmuted maybe. So through this process, I started learning. I dove deeper into more of the mind, but also energy. I was learning at this time that we are light beings. Our body is made of light. We are an electric being. So many different pieces that were outside of the normal plant-based conversations that I had been having for 10 years, right? And so I was learning all of these things, and I started putting pieces together and realizing how powerful our life is. Our life is our medicine, not just the food that we're eating, but our entire experience of the day, of this life that we have here. And so some big factors for me that I hadn't considered before realizing the food was so great, but I had stopped listening to music. I stopped dancing. I stopped going to yoga. I had become a really hardcore yogi in 2017, I think. And then I injured myself. And so I basically couldn't run. I pulled a hamstring. So I couldn't do basically any exercise without re-injuring it. And I didn't have the time or discipline to really go into it, the healing the way I should have at that time. I also left my business, my physical culinary gym in Santa Rosa, California. And so I had a shift in purpose and a new relationship. And there was so much happening that it was making me see it was all perfect, because I wouldn't have come across these findings if I hadn't gone through that journey. But what I realized is how powerful our life is as our medicine, okay? How whole we are as individual beings. If you're doing this lifestyle with us, there's a specific name. If you're, I don't like to use this plant-based term anymore, but the word that comes before plant-based, and plant-based is just a marketing term now more than anything. So I try to say plant-centered, plant-rich, plant-strong, plant-powered. But the term that comes before that is whole food. If anyone's read Colin Campbell's book, Whole, the power of a whole food versus an individual isolated nutrient from a food. Big difference, right? Big difference. The same is true for our being and our health. If we isolate our being to this physical body and not paying attention to the mental health, the emotional health, and the spiritual health, and our essence, our true essence, which is our soul, if we don't pay attention to all aspects of that, it's kind of insane, to be honest, but we're not aware of it. So it's just ludicrous to be addressing a physical body when there's so much. The physical body is literally less than 1% of our being. And you know how that's true? That's true is because even within the atom, what we can see in the atom is less than 1% of what is actually there. And so you just scale it up. And what we see, what we can actually study with the science, the physical body, physiology, biology, chemistry, all of that is less than 1% of us. And yet that 98, 99% of the attention from the plant-based community at large. Some people are more focused on mental health than others. Some people go into emotional health. But I'm telling you, I was at the forefront of this movement for 10 years. It's been 13 years, but I was there from before Forks Over Knives, working at True North Health Center and Dr. McDougall's Medical Center, both world-renowned centers in California, going to all the top doctors, connecting and having meals with Colin Camp and Dr. Greger and all these amazing doctors. And I can tell you, for the most part, we as a community were focused on physical health, not as much mental health, a little bit eventually, as we went on, people started making that connection. Now we have some amazing doctors speaking more directly to mental health, like Dr. Lasher's eyes, I think that's how you say it, are amazing. But we're still not addressing the whole being in the way that we could. And along with that, we're not taking a holistic approach to our healing, to our health. We're focused on the food. And I became a raw vegan before I became whole food plant-based, right? These terms are so funny to me now, but I was raw vegan for 4 months, and I was studying raw veganism for a year before that. And that community was the community I was part of within the raw vegan community was very spiritual. We were taking a much wider approach to health. We were looking at the cleanliness of the water, and not just the cleanliness of the water, but also the energy of the water, right? And essential oils, and the EFT tapping, and lymphatic tissue, and just so much prayer and meditation, so much more than just the food. And when I came into the whole food plant-based community, it was like a savior to me, because I could eat potatoes again. I could have cooked potatoes, and I was like, yes, I'm all in. And you could still reverse disease. We're reversing diabetes, heart disease, all of this. And so fantastic. And I followed these doctors, and I did what they said. I was part of the North Health community, which is amazing. If you guys are not familiar with it, it's probably the most just for a long time, it was the only medically supervised water fast center in America. Now it's one of several, but it's still by and large the largest and the most well done, I guess you could say. And so where was I? I was just so excited to be a part of this community, making change and helping people reverse disease. And people really were reversing disease. They were making the changes. And it was beautiful and rewarding and fun and exciting. And I loved the science and everything, all aspects of it. But over that time of doing it for myself, I was so focused on the whole foods that when I wasn't feeling great, when I had an issue, when I wanted to work on my thyroid, or I wanted to work on my skin or my hair or something, I always went to the food, improve the food, and I didn't look at the other pieces for the most part in general, right? And so it was always get the food more right, do it better, make it more perfect, be more clean. All of these things it kept putting pressure on myself, pressure on my nervous system, creating tension in my body, even more so because I was just trying to be so perfect. And then the teacher, teaching this way of eating, I had more guilt and shame associated with that. So more mental stress, mental disease, as our industry would like to label them. And it wasn't serving me at all. The food, it became more problematic in some regards. And then it was when I was treating, can anyone relate to this? Any aspects of this? Because I'm just kind of all across the board here, but it's all important for the direction I'm taking you with the deliciousness and how this relates to our health and well-being. Okay. I realized that I needed to, long story short, I needed to address myself as a whole being. Just the way, as critical as it is to eat whole foods, it's even more critical to address your whole being, to nourish your whole self, mind, body, spirit, and the soul, our soul, which is what we are. And through that process, it's lit me up because I am nourishing my mind and my body and my soul. I am having so much more fun, so much more joy, so much more love, so much more adventure and passion and creativity. And it's the deliciousness that I was looking for. So when I started, it actually went back to my childhood when I realized that I wanted to help people shine their light. And it was at that time, it was right around, I had moved to a new school. There were some family things, and I won't go deeper into the story, but I can pinpoint that time in my life when I realized I wanted to help people shine. And the step before that was that I had to do it myself first. I knew that I wasn't, and I knew there was something within me that was just a burning to be seen, to be released, to shine, right? And I had no idea that we were light beings, like intellectually at that time, no idea. But that's the word I used, was shine. I almost got a star tattoo on my foot just because of the emotion tied to this mission. And so it was actually someone asked about my thyroid journey. It was later when I learned about the raw vegan diet. So let's back up one more time. As a little girl, I always wanted to be in the jungle and learning from the indigenous and the wisdom of the planet, Pachamama, Gaia, Mother Nature, learning about the elements and all the wisdom that we had here, and bring that to people, bring awareness to people. And I didn't know it myself. So again, it was something I had to learn myself, but I felt that calling, part of why I'm here in Mexico. And so as a little girl, I felt all that, and I would have conversations with my family occasionally. And there was one time where the conversation got so strange, family, that I was shut down. And that was part of around the same time where I was moving to this new school. And so that was a family piece of it. And I just felt like my energy was suppressed and my voice suppressed. And so that, I think, feeling that is why I realized I wanted to shine, because it was like I was no longer shining, and now, I had that desire. But it was later, as I was going to, I was in a master's program at Bastyr University, and I was learning about raw vegan diet before I knew about whole food plant-based. I was learning about a raw vegan diet. I was also learning about the corruption in the world. I had already known the food and drug corruption, but I hadn't known about the legal system and the financial system and all of this other corruption that was happening. And so I started speaking out in a really exciting way for myself, because I felt so empowered that I was sharing my truth to my friends and family, and around the raw vegan diet as well. And like, your cooked food is killing you. That's what I was saying. And so they didn't want to hear it. It was that I created an autoimmune thyroid issue. So until the end of last year, I've been thinking that an autoimmune condition is caused by a leaky gut, or often caused by leaky gut, could be caused by other things as well, but a leaky gut, and proteins get through that shouldn't get through, and it's attacking the thyroid. Often this is because of gluten, and it makes a lot of sense. So I developed an autoimmune thyroid issue, diagnosed as Hashimoto's, and it was all, good and fine. I was addressing it with medication, and I don't want to lose my track of where I was going, so I won't go deeper into the different therapy approaches I used. But this last year, I realized that I triggered the autoimmune condition. I created it. I fully believe I created it. And let me tell you why I believe that before I tell you how. I firmly believe, so this is part of the deliciousness of our self-healing. Our bodies, okay, let's come back, remind me to come back to that story. So this is the meat of what I want to share with you as far as our self-healing. If you are alive, first off, if you are alive, you are healthy. You are healthy, you are whole, you are complete, you are strong, you are beautiful, you are healthy. You are absolutely healthy. If you are here on this call, you are healthy, okay? No matter what disease you were diagnosed with, no matter what medical condition you think you have, no matter what symptoms are presenting themselves, you're healthy. You have, first of all, 1% of the body is what we can see, or 1% of our being is the body that we can see. Okay, based on even that 1%, if that was your entire being, that 1%, you have billions of cells. I don't know numbers. I don't know how many, but you have basically an infinite number of cells, right? Relative to what our mind can kind of comprehend, put numbers on. So many cells, and then all of the little critters in our microbiome and all over our body that are supporting our physical well-being. All of that is functioning so well that you're able to live. You're living life, you're here, and all of that. Little symptoms, many symptoms that are piled up to create a disease that someone diagnosed you with is so minimal compared to the cells that are functioning optimally. Okay, so that's the first part. If you are alive, you are healthy. So your mind is so powerful. We're going to come to that too. Your mind creates your reality. So when you say you are sick, you're creating sickness. When you say you're diseased, you're creating disease. If you say I am, like I used to say that I don't even want to say it. I used to say I am, and then I would put a disease state after it. I will not do that anymore. I am healthy, I am strong, I am beautiful, I'm whole, I'm complete. Those are the things I say to myself. And so a dis-ease is just you being uncomfortable. And so going back to those cells that seem to be off or dysfunctioning, they're actually doing their job. They're actually working perfectly as well, because your entire body is set up for you, your best good, your highest good, and your evolution. Any cell that is, acting out of its normal design, its innate design that it was brought into the world with, is only changing because it thinks that's what's best for you. It's only doing something different because it feels the need, or it's been called to by the community, right, to fulfill this other purpose to keep you alive and healthy and well. Sometimes that creates symptoms to get your attention, but those symptoms are also healing. It's easiest to see with the fever, right? When you have a fever, it gives you a symptom of a high temperature, but it's the high temperature that is actually killing off whatever issue is causing the fever, the bacteria, the infection that's causing the fever, right? And so the symptoms are the healing. Your body creates symptoms as healing. And just like every other aspect, every single aspect of your cell, but also your tissues, your organs, your entire being, every aspect serves multiple purposes, multiple functions, because that's how brilliant nature is. We are nature, and that's how brilliantly we were designed. So our symptoms are noise, discomfort to get our attention, but they are also doing healing work in the body, right? Can anyone give me an example of this in the comments? If symptom that you notice that is healing, because this is not our normal way of thinking of symptoms. So sometimes it can take wrapping your head around. And I'm going to give you some examples with my thyroid, which is part of, what made the big difference here. And this is why this needs to be two conversations because there is way too much that would never have fit the other part of this in here. I just want to read Debbie's comment here. Yes, and Ikuo, the light beings, yes, so true. Okay, so thanks, Debbie. I'm going to come to that. And like I said at the beginning, we're going to do 2 calls too. So we're going to go more into the flavor in one part, but I'm going to come to this deliciousness that we're speaking of. Okay, and right now I'm talking about our thoughts. I'm talking about, I said your mental health. So your mental health is the physical aspect of your mental health, anxiety, and we're going to talk more about physical aspects, migraines. I have a really amazing scientific article I just came across that clearly states how our food is creating the migraines or contributing to that. And so we're going to go deeper into that. But yeah, please keep asking questions if you have any, and I'll address them on this call if I can, or the next one. So going back to our mental health is like that physical aspect that we think of, but it's also the mental health, and our emotional health is tied deeply into that as well. And so your mental health is something as simple as whether you have positive thoughts or negative thoughts, right? So who here on the call is anyone like totally a glass half empty person, sees the world through a more pessimistic view? I won't hold it against you if you don't want to share that, but it makes a big difference, right? If anyone is on that call, or if anyone's had that experience, maybe it's been a past version of you and you've made a change because you realized that negative state is going to impact your experience. So that simple little thing, it's going to impact the experience of the food you're eating. Just more likely to not like the flavor of the food, but also likely to not be willing to accept more wholesome, healthy foods, thinking that you need more of that, the hyper-stimulating foods, just for many different reasons. Someone that is more pessimistic would be more likely to be drawn to those foods. So those little things like that, shifting your mindset. But this gets deeper, okay? So just walk with me through this, please, because there are just so many pieces and they all come together in a really beautiful package. So coming back to the symptoms being the healing, yes, you don't want to focus on the symptom, but the cause. And what I say is we don't want to address the symptoms, but we want to listen to the symptoms and actually nourish the symptoms. Don't just listen to them and then look for the cause, but part of the healing, instead of looking for a cause and like thinking you're the cause, because that's what our minds want to do, right? Our minds want to figure out the problem. So they look for the cause and then they want a solution. They figure out the solution. Well, no one, not even you, your soul, well, maybe your soul, but not your mind, not your mind, not that ego aspect of you, knows better than your body on what to do. I would say, in some ways, not even your highest self knows better than your body. Your highest self will be the second most authoritative person to have, know what's happening for you and your body. But your body works without you. Your body works without your highest self. Your body knows best. And so when your body creates a symptom, there's reason for it. Like I said, it's a signal to listen, but it's also part of the healing. Now, a thyroid, an autoimmune thyroid condition, is not one that has an easy explanation like the fever. but I'm going to share with you what I realized, and from the thyroid malfunctioning aspect, or the dysregulation of the thyroid hormone aspect, and also from the autoimmune condition aspect, right? Those are two separate issues happening. The first is for the an underactive thyroid. When you have an underactive thyroid, whether it's because your thyroid's not functioning or it's for some other reason related to the thyroid hormones and the system, the regulation, you can get symptoms, two of which, the two of the most common being tired, more tired all the time, fatigue, and the other one being a weight gain or harder to lose the weight, right? Two of the big symptoms. Well, when you listen to those symptoms, rather than listening to the symptoms, then addressing the root cause and saying, oh, it's a thyroid issue. Oh, maybe it's because of the gluten. Maybe it's because my adrenals are overworked, you know, whatever it is. And then you focus on those things. So maybe then you supplement with a adrenal supplement, a thyroid supplement. I've done that, right? Many times. And I'm not saying I don't do it now. I do have a thyroid supplement that has some extra nutrients for me. But when you listen to the symptoms and you nourish the symptoms, you support the body with those symptoms and taking care of those symptoms, how does that look like? Like, what's the difference there? So you tell me regarding weight gain and metabolism. You tell me in the comments, what's the solution if you're gaining weight? If you're feeling tired often, the solution is sleep. It's not more nutrients for the thyroid necessarily, or more nutrients for your adrenal glands. The answer is more sleep. Well, one of the answers, right? And we're talking holistically. But one of the things that people don't want to address is the sleep. They need to rest, myself included. The body's saying rest, and it goes hand in hand with gaining weight. The body's saying eat less. It's saying your metabolism is slower, eat less. It's not saying, and you may need to heal the metabolism, but your body may be putting itself into a lower metabolic state for a reason, because you have an infection and it's saying to rest, a viral infection, or because you're overworking yourself, your body's stressed. Your body is just straight up stressed, right? The answer is not more nutrients. That doesn't hurt. But if your body is lowering its metabolism, rest. And also other things to help the metabolism that might allow the rest to be more restful, right? Because you can go to sleep at night without actually getting a good night rest. The cells to function better, right? So doing things that would to help the metabolism, doing things that would help your sleep, like taking out, you know, doing these things to help the symptoms, help support the symptoms. That's this next level of healing, of self-healing, not thinking that we know best with our mind, right? And again, diving into this world of supplements and all of the other therapies, whether they're beautiful or they're scammy, that are using tools and man-made things to heal the body. We need to first listen to the body and support the body with its own brilliant wisdom and healing modalities. Does that make sense? That's a little rant. So let me see. Get some. Your body is your connection to your higher self. I'd say the body is a vehicle for the higher self. The body is a vehicle for our soul to be in here. And that's my take on it. But these are touchy topics when we start talking about these other aspects of our being. And so there's different ways to look at it. Yeah, and you're saying, is that how you're saying it? I 100% agree with you. They're not disconnected. Everything is all connected. When I say your highest self, I think there's a difference between your highest conscious self and your unconscious as well. So we don't have time necessarily to go into all of this, and I might have said some things that I would have said differently. Could I go back? But I do think that the body like knows what's, I don't know, they're too integrated, as you're saying. But if we were to try to separate them, as we're even doing with this conversation by saying body, mind, yeah, you get the point. Oh, yes. So I've been more, definitely resting more myself as well. Yes. Yes. Again, San, to healing metabolism on all levels. And also noting though, that even like sleep associated with metabolism, that's something that we've done as humans, make that association. But the sleep is really powerful for other things as well, like clearing out the mind. Like, I mean, clearing out the plaque in the brain, right? It's important for us to create our reality. Like when we go to dream it, our subconscious is working as we dream, and that's creating our realities during the day. So there are so many pieces to the sleep that when you are tired, that is one critical piece. And you can also be supporting the metabolism elsewhere. Yeah, supporting, we don't have time to go into supporting the body with an infection. Specifically, but I would, because it would depend on the infection, would depend on the cause. And I will mention that another insight, just truth for me that I've realized, and I'll come back to the thyroid as an example on this, is that disease starts with energy. It's an energetic issue before it's a physical issue. And this can work on multiple levels. I pulled my hamstring. A couple weeks ago, and I pulled my hamstring years ago, and it was really bad. Like I mentioned this, it was really bad because I never addressed it fully, but I could do everything, and it was just really painful to do any running or getting into certain yoga positions. However, a couple weeks ago, I tore my hamstring, literally tore it. And I could walk, but it wasn't pretty. And I couldn't feel the tissue behind my thigh. It was mush compared to the muscle behind the other thigh. The right leg was mush. And healing it. And I've done some amazing things to heal it. I mean, it's a whole nother story. But that was a physical thing that happened, and still it feels like there was an energy to it that I wanted connection to. A couple of the therapists that I met, an amazing body worker massage therapist, and then this other person that actually has access, or he bought a scalar energy machine. If you're familiar with scalar energy, it's the energy from Tesla's patent, Tesla technology. The energy, I'm using that on my hamstring, and it's healed remarkably well in just 2 weeks. And if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have crossed paths with those two souls and experiences, which are going to be even more powerful for my journey, my healing journey, rather than just the hamstring. It's like the hamstring's nothing compared to the other work that I could do to these two people. So that's a little thing, and that's a little woo-woo, but we have science to support the woo-woo. And I do believe that happened for a reason, highest good. But another piece that is maybe more tangible and people can relate to, especially around the thyroid. I know a lot of people have thyroid issues in our community, is the voice. So going back to my journey, when I was speaking out about a raw vegan diet and the corruption that was happening in a really passionate way that was empowering for me, but it was not pleasant for other people to hear, they told me to stop talking about it. No one wants to hear it. Focus on the positive, focus on the positive, focus on the light. And so it was in that framework that seemed really positive at the time. And so I said, okay, I'm going to focus on the light. I can't change, nor do I want to be an activist manner, doing more of the on the ground kind of. I'm on the ground, but in a different way than you might think of like activists, right? So I said, I'm going to focus on the light. And that's when I went into teaching cooking classes, right? Teaching people how to get healthy and make change in a really positive way. And I stopped, saying that the cooked food was killing them. And my beliefs around that shifted anyways. But what I realized now is at that time, because it was at that time, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune thyroid condition. I created the antibodies. And the reason I feel this is partly because of realizing energy. First, there's an energetic, like a trauma or something shifts the energy that triggers disease often. And in many cases. And knowing that the symptoms are part of the healings. So if the symptom was high thyroid antibodies, if that's part of the healing, why would my body do that? Why would my body create antibodies to attack the thyroid? Well, it would do that if it felt like it was in our best interest, my best interest, and all of me, my best interest to not speak up around these issues, to be accepted amongst my family, friends, but mostly my family are the people I was talking to, and they didn't want to hear it. So I suppressed my voice. I focused on the light, which seemed positive, but what I really did was suppress my truth. And in that process, ever since like being a little girl and having my energy suppressed around my beliefs, much larger beliefs, and then at my early 20s having the voice suppressed, which I did myself. That's why it's called an audit. It's happening, to yourself. You're doing it to yourself. I created that for acceptance of my family. And maybe I would have extended that out. They weren't, in conflict with me or not feeling great when I was sharing those things, that maybe other people would too. They'd have the same reaction. And so I created a way to suppress myself and focus on the light. But, oh my God. I just made another connection. 1 second though. I don't want to get too behind on these. Oh, Nancy, show up on Thursday for the migraines, but I'll tell you right now, in case you miss it, it's glutamate, and I would highly recommend the Magic of Umami course because we cannot cover all the details on Thursday's call. You'll want to go deeper for sure. Yes. And so I'm going to come back to what I was just sharing and that connection I made, but raising our consciousness is what we're doing here. All of what I'm talking about, this awareness that I'm building, I'm sharing with you, is raising your awareness, which is your consciousness. It's raising awareness. And, you might have already heard some of these things. You might have already known it. It might just be resonating. It might be either a reminder or something that you knew inside, but it wasn't in your conscious mind. So it's raising consciousness. And that's how, like San is talking about, when we're listening to the body, when we're really listening, you're having more awareness, so that your awareness can grow, or the higher your awareness, just as your awareness rises, you have more insight to what's happening for your body. And that gives you, as your soul and your, your mind, your decision-making processor, more power to make the decisions that are best for your body. Just like when you move to a plant-based diet, you learned, and then you were able to make better decisions. San, so many great points. Thank you. I'm not able to read everything, but I love how I think we're on the same page with all of it, or at least most of it. Physical exercise is fantastic for cleaning out the plaque. I'm not sure about the plaque in the brain, like specifically, but that exercise, I'd say in general, helpful for the lymphatic system. And we do have lymph in the brain, but there is something very powerful about sleep for cleaning out the plaque in the brain. And I don't know that happens just by other lymphatic, care for the lymph system, which is, it's really powerful, the lymph system, right? And all of these systems are part of one larger system, right? Just like us as individuals, we're just part of a bigger ecosystem. Oh my gosh, Maggie, thank you. Yes, and I'm just like, the conversation is so big. This is why this is just the beginning. We're going to do part 2 on Thursday, but really this is just the beginning of me shifting my brand. Okay, so this is like, welcome to the new Delicious Living Network. Oh my God, I've never said that before, but that is the new business name. It's shifting from the Culinary Gym to the parent company, the Delicious Living Network. It'll just be Delicious Living, I think, in our public language, but it's going to encompass the food and so much more. Because coming back to deliciousness, I'll come back. Okay, the quick thing I realized before, I don't want to leave that hanging in open loop, is that my eyes, I'm healing in my eyes as well right now. And I lost my glasses the morning after I picked up a book on healing my eyes, I lost my glasses in the water the morning after. And then before I even talked to my mother, she sent me a video of a woman teaching course on how to heal your eyes. So the energy is really amazing, whether it's like creating disease or part of the healing, the way the universe just lines up for our highest good, especially when we're paying attention and listening and following what feels right best. So I said that because what I just had another amazing soul I met on Saturday. I went salsa dancing. Saturday, Maggie is in Revitalize, and if anyone else is here in Revitalize, I did it because it is so healing to my spirit and to my soul to be dancing. And so that was something where I had to shift and push myself to go out dancing, come back to that. And while I was there, I was talking with a gentleman, and he was saying his experience with this medicine that I'm taking for my eyes, his experience with it, it's a plant medicine, and it's helping him to see that what he's realized is when your eyes are not working as well, your body's telling, part of the message is to go within, because you have the answers, and there's something you're not wanting to see. And so if you're not wanting to look at it, you got to go within and figure that out. Maybe figure out, why it is you're not wanting to but also just go within in general, you've got work to do. And so that's, this is part of my journey right now is going deeper within, more meditation, more time with myself, more work on my own healing. The physical is a big piece of it. I'm not taking anything away from the food, that being a big piece of it as well. But there's so many aspects. And so I'm doing all the healing, my eyes, my thyroid, my hamstring, my spine as well. There's no need to stay with, these injuries that we think we're going to have for life, or injuries, disease states, and they're absolutely not true. So the first and foremost I did, continue to build awareness. That would be number one. Always just keep learning. And the second thing that was like the big game changer is to realize I don't have to be sick. So first, I am not sick. I am healthy, whole, strong, beautiful, and complete. And I am healing. And I'm going to, there's no doubt about it that I will be healed. There's no doubt in my mind, right? So a couple of those big things for my journey. I thought I was about healing my thyroid for a decade, but it wasn't until recently where I really committed to it. I learned about people healing their thyroid. I learned it was possible. I learned you can regenerate the thyroid. You can actually grow a new thyroid. So even if my thyroid was damaged, like damage from the autoantibodies, I can actually regenerate a whole thyroid. I could have my thyroid removed. People have had their thyroid surgically removed and then grown a new thyroid. That can happen. And so when you make a decision to heal and you're fully committed to it without a doubt in your mind, there's no doubt it's going to happen, right? Oh, just so many pieces. Let's go back to the deliciousness I was talking about and the community, right? I was saying each system of our body is just a system within a whole being. And this physical body is just the within the whole being. Our being is just us, one person within a whole community, right? And the community within a region or a state, a nation, right? Part of the globe, part of the universe. We're all interconnected, so deeply interconnected. Your cells cannot function without each other within the tissue, but also within, it's not just a heart working with the lungs, or the immune system working with the nervous system and the system. They're all working together. You may have an organ located in one spot and everything, but they're all so integrated, even when they're not directly in contact. Like if you don't have a nerve going to, that's a bad example. If you don't have a heart cell going to, going to your digestive system, they're still connected, right? They're connected through the vagus nerve, also connected through all the chemical messengers and everything communicating. It's that connected, just like in our society, okay? All right. So that piece, the deliciousness of life. Simply put, I stopped yearning for more flavorful food when I realized I needed a more flavorful life. It was a big aha when I had it. And I've had big ahas around that along the journey. And every day I still have these ahas. When I get a craving for something, when I want something sweet, it's like when I want something sweet, I want love. I want to feel loved. So I may call someone, but I may also just realize I am love. I love myself, but I am love. And I can be just with that and recognize that. And my cravings, depending on my level of awareness, consciousness, presence in the moment, they may just lessen a little bit, or they may go away completely. It depends. But when I want something savory and I'm like wanting something really delicious and I want to go out to eat, I don't want to cook it. I want something salty and oily. That doesn't really happen at the level I'm talking to you about right now, but I have a restaurant that I love going to, and they do use a little bit of salt, but it's also just, more complex and savory because of the more than I tend to do for myself right now, since I've been traveling so much. When I want that, I'm like, I want savoriness. I want adventure. I want passion. And so it's like, I want dancing. I want connection with people. I want adventure, like travel or go do something, right? Just go out for a walk, a fun, exciting walk, see something new, experience a new culture, a new, something new. All of that is the deliciousness of life. Is in when you have that much flavor in your life, or a flavor that suffices. And sometimes, it's really peaceful flavor too, like something soothing. We need really soothing, anti-inflammatory foods for our body. And sometimes we crave that, right? Especially if you're here in this community, you want something healthy. Sometimes you want anti-inflammatory foods that are simple, steamed greens and a potato, right? Well, in your life experiences, your body wants the same thing. It wants yoga, meditation. It wants peace. It wants rest. It wants comfort, right? It wants things that are really simple and nourishing to the body, to the mind, to the spirit as well. So there's also something that makes our food really delicious is when we have bitterness in our food. Bitterness to neutralize and to add in more depth too, to give you more depth with the sweetness and the savoriness. We have bitter, and it may not taste good on its own, but when you have it in the whole package, it's fantastic. So I equate that to, life's hardest challenges. It might seem bitter, like especially the really hard things like a breakup or a loss of a family member. These hardest moments, they make it stronger, right? Life wouldn't be so great without the hard times, even when it's the devastating. We don't have that trust. We don't have happiness, right? And they literally make you stronger, make you a better person, and they help your soul evolve for your life's work, for your purpose. And I'll even say, saltiness as well, like salty is another flavor. And I think of salty as like well, you could say the salt of the earth, which is really like wholesome, grounded, sweet, but also that saltiness is kind of like sassy to me, a little bit of attitude. And I feel like that's really important too. So salty, sweet, sour. Ooh, and sour is kind of like bitter too. Just be like, hard times, but we need it all. We need it all. Robbie, it'd be a great class to share about listening to your own body. In Revitalize, we do more of that, and I'm going to be Revitalize. I might open up a way for you to join in some capacity in July, halfway through the year. But maybe we could do a master class, a smaller master class about that. And we do in the Magic of Umami, the 6th module is all about healing, and it ties into the inflammatory processes that we talk about, but I'm going to give you the actual science of how to heal from excitotoxicity, but also just inflammation and tension in general. We'll talk about that. And it's amazing. It's so powerful to see the science of that. So I hope you do join us for the Magic of Umami. And I'll send an email with how you can join And specifically, the sales page needs to be updated if you've checked that out, because there's going to be some new live happenings and some bonuses as well. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna have to come back and read through your comments, all your comments, San, because I want to make sure I get to everyone's. And we have, I don't want to go past 8:30. Be respectful of your guys' time. Oh, yes. Yes, I've seen like 3 or 4 different books on for healing your eyes. The book I have is the Bates method, but there's a couple other ones that I want to get, and I do want to do that work. Okay, so back to the deliciousness of deep self-healing. We've never left that conversation, but I want to just emphasize the beauty of this healing is that we have the power. No one else has the power to heal us. It's up to you. It's up to me. Okay. And a big paradox here. It's absolutely effortless for you to heal. You are always healing. No matter if you put, you have the black bean brownies, you could be having them every single day. Your body is still healing. Sorry, I had a friend that was addicted to black bean brownies, like I was addicted to mochas, and we talked about it. We were in a program together, supporting each other in a little mastermind, a lot of fun. And it could be a lot of shame around those addictions. And then like you're off plan and you create shame in the body or guilty pleasure, even when you don't feel negative about it. The word around it is guilty pleasure. That's got to have some negative association in the body, right? Even if you're feeling good about it. And most of the time you're feeling so good about it is because of the dopamine and serotonin being created from the junk. I say that because your body's always healing, always, 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 always healing, whether you're doing anything to support it or not. Okay, that's one side. The other side is healing is hard. It's really hard. I should say, to support our healing in the best ways, that can be hard. It can be really easy and delicious with the delicious plant foods, and it can be really delicious with going out and doing something you love, like me, dancing. I love dancing, and that is totally healing to the body. But it's also something that can be hard to do, and for multiple reasons. One, it can just be hard to face truths that we don't want to see, right? Like it can be hard to sit still and meditate and be with your thoughts. All of that can be hard. The harder it is, the more important it is. Generally, the more that resistance comes up, the more potential there is for growth and healing at the same time. So the harder it is, the more important and the more exciting you can see it as, because you've got so much potential coming through, right? The other reason it can be hard is because our nervous system, coming back to the mind, right? I probably didn't even touch on how many ways that the mind and flavor and deliciousness are connected, but hopefully I covered most of it. But coming back to the mind, our nervous system wants to be comfortable, just like our ego wants to be right, just like our body wants to be in homeostasis. It does everything it can. Our body does everything it can to be in homeostasis. And our ego does everything to try to be in control and be right. But our nervous system wants to be comfortable, because when we're not comfortable, then we're in a fight or flight response, right? Or freeze, fight, flight, or freeze. And that is possible, and the body knows how to do it, and it will do that by all, it'll absolutely do that when it needs to, but it doesn't want to stay there, and it doesn't want to have to go into that state. So the nervous system is set up so that we're comfortable, wants to stay comfortable. So we're going to do things to stay comfortable. But the thing is, in order for you to grow, in order for you to make changes, you have to do something new. You have to change something, and that is going to put the nervous system in a new element. It's going to change things for the nervous system. And especially if this is around your healing, it can change the level of inflammation and the level of tension, the level of cortisol running through your system. And if that gets too low compared to what it's used to, it might find another, you've taken out the junk that's created, that used to be creating a lot of inflammation in your body. Then it comes up with negative stories. You've got more emotions coming up and past trauma. I don't like to use the word trauma because it's really just an experience that you labeled a trauma. No offense to anyone, but it's truth. So the body will bring up other things or bring in other people in your life or situations that are going to create stress so that you're at that level of what I forgot to say that although our body doesn't a stressful state, we live in a hyper stimulating world where we are just, unless we've done the work to be in a more peaceful environment with our food, but also the environment and our communication with people, our relationships, all of that, unless we've done the work to create that peace for our body, chances are we're in a more stimulated just system, and we are probably experiencing, if we're more stimulated, experiencing more tension and inflammation than necessary, more stress than necessary. And this is true for myself. I definitely have more inflammation and more stress and tension in my body than I need. So I speak from experience, and I really don't want to go much longer, but I want to wrap this up, that our body is wanting to be in that comfortable state. And so doing the work to change can be hard because the nervous system has to readapt, just like with your taste buds. When you get clean, you're working on getting clean. As soon as it's been a couple days and the body realizes there's no sugar coming, the cravings get stronger, right? That's what happens when you actually create more peace in your body, less inflammation. Then your body's, after a few days of that, or a period of time, your body starts looking for more stimulation, right? Imagine going to a meditation retreat, sitting there for 10 days in silence, no talking, no stimulation. At first, it's not so bad, but after a little bit of time, maybe a couple hours, maybe a couple days, you're looking, depending on where you were, your nervous system and everything before that, you may be experiencing stress around that and just like, I got to get out of here. I got to do something. Even doing a water fast at home, feeling really low and peaceful, not so stressed. And then you're like, I got to escape. I've got to go walk. I've got to talk to people. I've got to watch something, all of that. Okay. I'm just going to end with, if you want change, you have to change. So that's the most delicious. I'm going to leave you with that piece. May not be the most delicious, but you have the power to change your health, and your mind is in control of more than you realize, especially when we're seeing the body as a whole and we're raising our consciousness and letting go of negative thoughts and thoughts that don't serve us and connecting to our dreams, our goals, our passions, the things that we want. We can use those things to support our healing. And often they're exactly what we need to do to support our healing, because our life is our medicine, whether it's good or bad. Just like the medicine we take through supplements and doctor visits, some of that medicine you might be paying in the past, hopefully, you could have paid a lot of money for that medicine and it was actually making it worse, right? The same is true for your life. Your life is your medicine. Even when it's bad, it's still your medicine. Hopefully you realize it's not serving you and you make changes. But all of life is our medicine. I should say all of your life is your medicine. So make your life delicious. Make it really, really delicious medicine and the most healing and beneficial for your evolution. Oh, yeah. So I think I like the term salt of the earth, but when I think of saltiness, I think of, I already said this, but I think of that like sassy kind of attitude, someone being almost a little bit rude, but like standing up for themselves. I feel like I did that maybe a couple times on this call, and not rude, but speaking my voice. That's part of my healing. Back to that thyroid, and that is a huge part of my healing. And I'm going to see those antibodies go down. I haven't gotten tested, but I am currently not taking my thyroid medication. I am not recommending anyone else get off their thyroid medication without a guided supervision from someone who's very knowledgeable. But that's something I've been off of for 3 months now, and I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So another bigger conversation. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. I really, really enjoyed this. Hopefully it was super helpful to you. The deliciousness, just to recap, is specifically with the food related to our mental health. And we're going to talk more specifics about that, maybe more specifics and more science than you're used to. We'll talk about that on Thursday. And the deliciousness, the reason my company is called Delicious Living, newly, nothing's been changed on the website or anything yet, but is because of how delicious our life can be. And when you make your life delicious and find the deliciousness, reconnect to the deliciousness of life, then you don't search for the deliciousness in the food as much. You will still enjoy your food. You can still make delicious food, but it's not this yearning, craving, like disease inducing cravings for deliciousness, right? Through the food, because you've got such a great, flavorful life. Yeah, I think there was a mention of what your body's saying when you're getting a craving for something. We don't have time to talk about that today, but when you get a craving for something, I think it is important to listen to, and I think it can be healing for your body. Some people would say on a chemistry level, you've got a craving for like chocolate, you maybe need magnesium, but also in a more lifestyle level, at a lifestyle level, I think that's true too. So thank you all so much for being here. I really enjoyed it. I hope you have a delicious evening. I'm going to send out the report tomorrow, and I will also announce our call for Thursday, the same time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and also the Magic of Umami course. If you're interested, join right away, because there's going to be a price point and a couple bonuses. And I don't want you to lose that. We're going to start in June, so I have some time to really add in some new pieces that I'm excited about. But yeah, join now. It'll be the best deal. And we'll see you Thursday. Yes, Robbie, Thursday. I'll see you there. Thank you, everyone. Have a delicious evening. Bye.